Have you ever felt like something in you knows exactly why you're struggling, yet your doctors just don't speak its language yet? My guest today, mind body medicine practitioner Alisha Kapani, shares how tuning into that hidden wisdom finally moved her out of the years of depression when nothing else worked. Let's get started.
I went through a period of contemplating suicide because nothing else had worked. In that moment where I stopped trying so hard to heal desperately, that there was like a softening because when you're not resisting, then the emotions can dissolve. And so your body has like three main functions as an energy body.
This is From Wounds to Wisdom with Barbie Moreno. Real talk, deep healing, and stories that turn pain into power. Let's dive in. Hey, Alicia, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you talk about some of my favorite stuff, the quantum field, but I know that in your past, you have worked with a lot of different modalities to try to heal from everything that you caused you depression or whatever the case would be. And like a lot of people, you've spent a lot of money on this. I know I was one of those people too, just searching for like what could help me. Like nothing seemed to work. Where it started, and then like how you've kind of found something that actually works for you.
So it started when I was 22. It was like my last semester of university. I didn't understand what was happening for the first year. Like I thought that I just felt down because I was graduating. And so I thought, oh, maybe I don't feel like I have purpose in my life anymore. I'm not working towards something. I already have a job lined up. And I had started taking birth control as well. So I thought it was like maybe a hormonal thing. And then the relationship that I was in ended. I already had depression, wasn't aware I had depression. So I went to my doctor because I didn't know what else to do. And of course, what they do is just put you on medication, right? And then they're like, oh, go see your psychiatrist and do cognitive behavioral therapy and you'll be fine. And I was just so sensitive that the medication had no effect on me. Like it was like I was taking nothing. There was no positive effects, there was no negative side effects, and when I ask other people who have taken antidepressants, they're like, yeah, you feel kind of numb. Like it's kind of like apathy. And I'm like,
Right.
I didn't have, it's like I was taking a sugar pill. Like it was like nothing. Nothing could suppress how deeply I feel everything. Also, it just like wasn't meant to be the thing that helped me because if I had found a pill at the time that made me feel better, then I would have never gone on a healing journey. I wouldn't be helping other people heal. And this was part of my divine timing and something I was meant to do. So I think that's why it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it actually heals depression anyways. It's just like a managing kind of thing. Like it doesn't really heal the root cause. So tried that for like a year. They kept just putting me on like multiple different medications. So they're like, let's try a different one. Let's try multiple at once. Let's try some for anxiety, some for depression. Let's increase the dosage. And they just kept doing that for like a year. And I was like, I don't feel anything. This isn't working. Like there has to be something else. And I also found that like CBT therapy and seeing my psychiatrist was not helping.
Yeah.
And they actually made me feel really bad about it. They're like, this is what works. Like, just do this. So then I
Right.
tried unconventional things. I tried acupuncture, I tried hypnosis, I tried EFT, cryotherapy, where you're in like the liquid nitrogen tank. Like, I'm like, oh, that can improve your mood and your energy. So, like, let's try that. So then I actually gave up. I went through a period of like contemplating suicide because nothing else had worked. And there was a lot of reasons why I didn't commit suicide, which we can talk about if you want to talk about. But eventually I decided not to go through with it. So then I was like, okay, if nothing works, and I know now that I'm not going to take my life, I think my only option is just to manage and distract. So then
Mm.
I just like tried to stay busy with work. And then I took this job that was in the field because I was an engineer at the time. So I took like a field job, like you're working on a construction field, you work in a trailer, you live in a camp. So like you work 12 to 16-hour days, you live with other people, so you're like never alone. So I was like, okay, I like this. I'm never alone. I don't feel my pain as much because I'm distracted like 99% of the day. That's what I was doing. But like life obviously had more in store for me. And so it was in that moment where I like stopped trying so hard to heal desperately that
Mhm.
there was like a softening. And then I received the exact resource that I needed. I just like synchronistically found my mentor who shares all about mind body medicine, which is all about getting to the root cause of your illness. And I started to heal like right away. Like after nothing else had worked for me, all of a sudden I was like healing right away. And it was because I wasn't like trying to make my pain go away anymore. It was like I was giving myself compassion. I was actually tuning into my body to see what it needed, because obviously it was trying to get my attention. It needed something that it wasn't getting. And I was just looking at it completely differently and actually giving myself loving attention, compassion, and presence, which I never did in anything else that I had tried before that.
Like that's not taught in traditional world, right? We're always taught to look for external validation and external help, like not to trust who we are on the inside and that our body is telling us the symptoms of what we're going through, in my opinion, spiritually, right?
Mhm.
And so when we're not listening, then I feel like the body just continues to give you more symptoms. I have to tell you that your journey is when I recognize myself with the one, spending lots and lots of money, to none of the psychiatry stuff working. Like the medications never worked. They put me on all kinds of, I remember after I had my postpartum depression, they put me on like 5 different medications in a matter of 5 months. For you, it didn't seem to work. For me, it just numbed everything, which I don't want to walk around like a zombie, right? Especially
Mhm.
like if you're normally an empathic person where you do feel, then it just completely takes away everything. And that's the way that you're supposed to move through the world, is through your emotions, through your feelings, through your empathy, not numb it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I actually filmed a video right before this about postpartum depression, so that's actually kind of
Mm.
interesting. I was saying how like when someone gives birth and brings this child into their life, it's like a whole new consciousness of joy.
I don't say that everybody who has a baby has postpartum depression, but
Hmm.
everybody who has a baby, things change so much. One, you get like a crazy amount of hormones, right? Like your whole world changes, like especially when it's your first child, like everything that you know, you're being able to go wherever you want when you want to go, you're being able to sleep when you want to sleep, like all of these things change. And so I don't necessarily believe that there's the postpartum depression that they think that there is. I think that it's adjustments to a new reality, that
Hmm.
we're not in acceptance, because you were saying one of the things is you had to accept, right? So we're
Yeah.
not in acceptance and we're trying to fight it. And so because it's all new and we're adjusting, we think that there's something wrong with us. And then we go again seeking external help versus just going within and going, okay, well, I haven't slept. So that's
Hmm.
probably part of it. We're not taught these things.
Exactly. You made a really good point that I think a big part of it is like there's so much change, and if we're resisting the change,
Mhm.
then if you're resisting anything, then
Right.
that's going to lead to depression, because that's what the root cause of depression is suppressed emotions, resisting what you're feeling.
Yeah. And then women in general take on so much more. You're doing so much. You're not being in your
Mhm.
presence. You're not
Exactly.
being who you are. You're not touching into who you are because
Yeah.
you're so busy in the doing world. Then
Hmm.
give ourselves some grace.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point.
What would you call it? A modality, a way of life? Like what? Tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, so mind body medicine is what I mainly do. And then recently have been incorporating theta healing. They're like the same but opposite. Like mind body medicine is essentially saying your mind and body are connected and there's an emotional root cause to everything that's going on in your life. We're shifting your consciousness, energy, emotions, your thoughts, beliefs. So you're no longer in the same consciousness where the problem got created. So
Mm.
that's the mind body medicine approach. Theta healing is the opposite. It's you connect with creator consciousness to find the root, or what's called the bottom belief. So you just ask the creator, where did this start?
Mhm.
And the creator may tell you, like, this happened in your childhood, or this was a past life thing, or this was passed down from your ancestors. You clear the bottom belief, and when you clear the belief, you no longer have the emotions that go along with the beliefs.
Mm.
Whereas mind body medicine is you welcome your emotions, and when you dissolve the emotions, you no longer have the beliefs that go along with the emotions. So, like, if you're carrying a lot of shame, for example, the mind body medicine approach is we keep welcoming the shame until it dissolves, since your body already knows how to transmute energy and dissolve emotions when you're not resisting. And then when you dissolve shame, you just don't have judgmental thoughts towards yourself and other people. Now you just naturally feel more love because that's your natural state. And then theta healing would be the opposite. You would clear the belief that makes you think that shame is serving you. Like maybe you think it motivates you, or nothing's going to get done unless I'm hard on myself, or whatever it is. You clear the belief. Now you no longer are having shameful thoughts, and so you don't feel shame. So
Right.
those are like my two favorite modalities that I combine.
So somebody who's listening is probably like, what the heck did she just say?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're not like in this world and you like haven't done these things, you're like, that sounds interesting, weird, and like a lot. So
Yeah.
what would be like a way to bring it to the average person that they could use as like a starting point for this process?
Yeah, I would say bring more awareness to what you're feeling and experiencing rather than less. That's the medicine. Awareness is the medicine because your body already knows how to process emotions. So it's only when you resist them, don't want to feel them, distract from them, that they would stay stuck in your body. The most powerful thing you can do is presence and welcome and bring more awareness to what you're feeling, and do it with love and compassion, not like, okay, I'll sit with it for a minute. And if it doesn't go away, I'm not doing it ever again. It doesn't work. It's like I'm giving myself unconditional love. My body's in pain. It needs compassion. There's lots of different ways you can bring more awareness to what you're feeling. Like, I don't have to do these things anymore, but when I first started, like just even rating how I feel on a scale of 1 to 10, or just being like, do I feel expanded right now? Do I feel contracted right now? Or if I'm feeling really dense, just rate that dense feeling. Like if I'm feeling super sad right now, is it like 10 out of 10 sadness? Or is it like not that sad and it's like a 1? And just rating it, because that 10 seconds that it took you to actually tune in and be like, okay, I guess it's kind of like a 7 out of 10, like how sad I feel right now. That was 10 seconds that you weren't resisting your pain. You
Mhm.
weren't trying to make it go away. You weren't making it wrong. And so that's why it's so powerful, because when you're not resisting, then the emotions can dissolve. So that's what I would say to someone. Like, there's no threat in feeling what you're already feeling, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to wallow in it though. So I
Mhm.
should just be being positive.
Right.
And that's not helping you dissolve any emotions.
That's why we talk about positive affirmations don't work because if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. But I want to explain the contraction and the expansion
Mhm.
for people. So
Mhm.
to make it simple to understand, expansion is when you feel good about it, right? And contraction is things that are the opposite. Contractions are things that make you feel bad or heavy, or like when you were saying dense, like you just feel like exhausted and that you're overwhelmed and that you're not aligned with who you are. And maybe you don't know that you're not aligned with who you are, but you know you just simply don't feel good, right?
Mhm.
And these are the times like when we sleep to avoid, we eat to avoid, we work to avoid. These are the times when we're contracted, not expanded, right? Expanded
Mhm.
would be more like you're doing the things that you enjoy. Like you wake up and you're excited for your day. Like you're not like you don't look at your phone and you're like, oh my God, I have like 15 things to do today and I hate every single one of them. And then I find that people have found a hard time with even recognizing their emotions because they have been in that state for so long they don't even realize when they're doing stuff that is causing them this discomfort or this contraction. So what
Mhm.
would be, in your opinion, like a key thing to like recognize? So for example, I have a partner in my life and the way that they speak to me really triggers me. And then I can feel it in my body. Like I start getting upset, like all of
Mhm.
these different things. What would I do to bring awareness to the fact that that's triggering me?
You explained it really well. When you're triggered, you will feel it in your body. Otherwise, you're not triggered. So immediately I bring awareness to, where do I feel it in my body?
Hmm.
Now that I've been doing it for so long, I would say 99% of the time I feel my emotions in usually the same place, which is like my stomach area. But depending on the emotion, you might feel it in your heart if it's like grief or, like it's like someone passed away, like you might actually feel that more in your heart than you do in your stomach. But if you're like giving your power away, you're going to feel that in your solar plexus. Just bring awareness to where you feel it in your body, because if you're triggered, you will feel a physical sensation or discomfort somewhere. And
Yeah.
then you can even ask yourself questions about the feeling, like, does it have a size? In my stomach, is it taking up like my entire stomach, or is it like this little like rock in my stomach that feels like super heavy? Or does it feel kind of like a fluttering? Like if I'm like feeling anxious, that's more of a fluttery feeling. It's not a rock in my stomach feeling, like each one feels a little bit different. So I'll ask like, what's the size, texture, color, temperature? If you're just getting started, those questions can help. The fact that while you're tuning in to be like, okay, it feels like a black, dark ball in my stomach, like that was again 10 seconds that you didn't resist what you're feeling. So,
And you were aware of it. It's funny, people ignore when kids say, like, I have a tummy ache. And
yeah.
that's a kid's way, oftentimes, unless they're actually sick, right? But most of them say, like, I have a tummy ache. It's
Mhm.
their body's way of saying like something's off. Even if it's like, I have a tummy ache, I don't want to go to school. Well, maybe they don't
Mhm.
want to go to school because the teacher tells them that they're not, good enough or smart enough, or there's a bully at school or whatever. And kids naturally notice like their bodies telling them, but they don't know how to say it in words, right? Like, I don't want to, my tummy hurts because there's a bully at school.
Yeah. I actually think that kids have more access to their wisdom than most adults because it hasn't been trained out of them yet.
Mhm.
I mean, as they continue to like go to school and be programmed, it probably will be programmed out of them, but they're not taught that right away unless they're born with these beliefs and they were already passed down to them. I just find that they have access, like they can tell if you're upset, like if your parents are fighting, like
Right.
they know, like even if you're not fighting in front of me, I can feel like something's
Mhm.
off.
So I believe that your feelings will basically tell you, because people have so much history attached to things, hard to learn to trust your feelings when you have a history, especially trauma people, people who had stuff in their childhood.
That's true. Like you might feel like someone's upset with you when they're not upset with you because you have your own past traumas where you just think everything I do is wrong. Like
Mm.
when something feels heavy, it's not aligned with me versus I'm feeling fear. And so this thing is scaring me. But if I
Mm.
wasn't feeling fear around this situation, this would actually feel really light.
Right.
Like when I thought about leaving my job as an engineer, it felt so scary, but it
Mhm.
didn't feel heavy, right? The actual idea of not working there anymore
Felt
and doing
light.
something I love felt
Yeah.
obviously very light.
Mhm.
But then when I would think about leaving the job, I would felt a lot of fear.
I like what you said about like the lightness that you felt when you thought of leaving versus the fear. So understanding the difference in that. And then I would say do the opposite. So if when you go to work every day you feel a heaviness, you're probably out of alignment.
100%.
And I think that your state of being makes a difference. So if you don't feel good, then maybe showing up for work, which it's not the work that's out of alignment, but you don't feel good, so it makes it feel heavy.
Yeah, it could be the way you're looking at that thing and how you think it needs to get done, which just means that there is an easier way to do this, that you don't currently have those beliefs in that programming.
And is that why, in your opinion, that therapy oftentimes doesn't work? Sometimes there's some amazing therapists, but because they don't actually touch into these things, they go back into like, let's talk about the symptoms versus like belief or the root cause.
I think one of the biggest things is how much the person is talking in the
Hmm.
session and not in their body, right? So, yeah, you could ask them questions like, how did that make you feel? But are they really tuning into their body when they answer that question?
Right.
You don't know, right? So
Right.
that's why I try in my sessions, like, there is very little talking. I, first of all, don't even need to hear a lot about the person's story to feel the energy. So I don't need you to go, into the story. And sometimes when they go into the story, they're anchoring the story as this is truth. So like the less you say the story, sometimes the better, right? Unless you say the story to bring up the emotions and then you welcome the emotions. But like if you're just talking about the story, like we are not getting into the body and we're not dissolving emotions.
Right.
So I think, yeah, way too much talking, not enough time in the body. I think a lot of times therapists, like, they're not bringing in the energy piece,
Hmm.
right? a lot of the times will be like, oh, this has nothing to do with you. Like, this is their problem. Trying to get the person to change their thoughts when they haven't actually dissolved that energy from their body about like, well, why is it my first assumption to think that I did something wrong? Like that
Hmm.
has to be cleared. Otherwise, it's just managing. If every time this happens, I just have to convince myself it has nothing to do with me, I
Right.
haven't evolved anything, and that's just managing. And so I think they're missing the piece of energy that, like, if someone's showing up in your reality and triggering you, they're a reflection of you. They are probably carrying the same energy as you, or they showed up in your life to make you heal this thing and show you what needs to be healed.
Gives me goosebumps when you say that. I would imagine that that's why CBT didn't work for you.
Exactly. I was not feeling my emotions. They were
Hmm.
just like, just look at this differently. So if a guy made me feel unwanted, for example, they would have me shift my thoughts to like, oh, well, it's their loss kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like you obviously have value and like, just think about everything that you have to provide and like, just switch it. Like they don't see your value or whatever. But like there's a deep wound there that these guys are hitting on, like from my dad leaving and like my ancestral stuff and everything my mom did, just letting my dad cheat on her and all this kind of stuff just to like have his financial support. Like there is nothing that would trigger me more than a guy making me feel unwanted. And like
Hmm.
me just shifting my thoughts over and over was not healing the root that was there. Like I just kept attracting guy after guy that made me feel that way. And that wasn't going to change until I healed the root cause of it. So I just didn't find it helpful.
I love the way that you explained all of that. I think that that's relatable for people. We're all almost always in our head. So we like to
Mhm.
process things in our head, even though we need to process it in our body. But give,
Mhm.
can you give somebody who's like, what the hell is all this energy stuff? What is it?
So your body is primarily vibration and energy. So like if you were to break down your body into the smallest subatomic particles, you're more than 99.9% empty space and only less than 0.01% physical matter. So you can already see that you're primarily energy or like vibration or empty space, however you want to put it. So you're not as physical as you think you are. You're actually more energy than physical. And you can measure that your body's actually electromagnetic. So you have like a torus field. It looks like this. You can
Like a
measure
donut
maybe
around each side. Yeah, it's like a donut
yeah.
for people who can't see. Yeah.
Oh yes, the strongest field is coming from your heart, and then second strongest is from your head. But essentially, you're constantly emitting a signal that you can measure. Your body's electromagnetic. And so your body has like three main functions as an energy body. You're a transmitter, so you're constantly giving off a frequency, an energy, a vibration. You're a receptor, so you can constantly feel other people's energy, frequency, vibration. And you're a transmuter, which means your body is naturally dissolving energy and emotions. Like when you're not in resistance, that is natural. Your body already knows. People say that you can dissolve an emotion in like, what's it, like 14 seconds or something like that? Like if you're truly not resisting at all, your body already knows how to dissolve the emotion, transmute the energy. So when we're referring to energy, energy is an emotion or like a state of being. So if you've ever seen the human scale of consciousness, if you haven't seen it, look it up. Every emotion
That's
is
David Hawkins,
calibrated.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So every emotion has been calibrated, and shame has been calibrated as the lowest emotion or lowest state a human being can be in, for example. And then it's like guilt, apathy, fear, anger, and then love, joy, peace. And love, joy, peace is your natural state. So when I'm referring to energy, I'm just referring to your like state of being. And you
Mhm.
can feel it even if you don't believe in energy or anything. Like you can feel other people's energy. You can feel when someone's upset. You can feel when someone's angry. You can feel when something's off. Like you can tell that you're a receptor.
Mhm.
And you can also tell that you're a transmitter then if you're like, oh, I can just feel the energy from this person. Like they are emanating something. So you can just tell that people are also transmitters as well. I think it's the transmuter part that people are not really aware of. They
Right.
don't know that it's natural that your body can just like release emotions and energy. And people's natural instinct is, of course, to first suppress or contract. Like, this is so painful. I don't want to feel this, and like to soften and feel what you're feeling at first like feels like intense, right?
Right.
So obviously it's people's first choice to like contract and like I don't want to feel this, and like let's try to just keep busy or distract so I don't
Right.
feel this.
Or numb it.
Yeah.
For those that don't like believe in energy, I always tell them like, if somebody is behind you,
Mm,
and if you haven't physically seen them yet, you can
hmm
feel them behind you. For me, I try to explain to
hmm
people like, how do you feel like how if you logically think about it, how would you know somebody is behind you unless you can feel the energy that's coming off? So
Yes.
I feel like that's like for the layman who's like, yeah, this is bullshit. Think of it that way because we have all experienced that time when you know somebody's behind you. You're walking,
hmm
somebody approaching you, you're
Or someone's looking at you and you're
yeah.
just like, I know someone's looking at me. Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly. So how does somebody work with you if they find like this is in alignment with them? What shows up in my world is always like women between 35 and 55, right? So do you
Mhm.
have like set like a set type of person who you find, not that you can't work with other people, but that you find come to you? And then how do they work with you?
Yeah, mostly people come to me, they're mostly women. Obviously, I've worked with men too, and they usually are older than me.
Mhm.
And it's usually people that have had some sort of chronic mental or physical illness for a really long time, and they've just been trying everything and nothing's working. Oh, I have an autoimmune disease, there is no cure, so I'm not even going to try. Or like someone who went through what you and I went through, where like they did try, but like nothing was working. And it's because they weren't listening to their body's wisdom. So those are the type of people I attract. And as for how they can work with me, you could work with me privately, but I recently created a membership program where people can work with me in a group setting so they get more access to me for a cheaper cost. And I find that people actually heal faster in group settings. A lot of reasons because of the mirror neuron effect, and also because like we have compassion for each other, we're holding space for each other. So if you're not having compassion for your emotions, but then you post what you're going through in the group, and then other people are holding space for your emotions, now you're getting what you actually need. And also, like, you heal from other people's questions. Like, you're all in this group for a reason. You're probably all carrying the same energies, right? So when we heal that energy for one, we're not separate from one another. So you're actually healing it for the collective. And then I also just have a lot of free resources, like my go-to mind body tool that helped me heal from depression. If people go on my Instagram, go in my link in bio, I have that like free healing bundle. And I have my book as well. If people are interested in learning about quantum physics and how your consciousness is creating your reality, I have like quantum physics for beginners.
We'll have all your contact information in the description, but if somebody's just listening, like what's your Instagram handle?
It's Alisha_Kapani. That's my handle for all my social media. And then my website's alishakapani.com.
Well, thank you for coming on. I am sure that at some point somebody heard something that resonated with them because we all know that those who are supposed to listen will listen.
Mhm.
So thank you for your time, and I appreciate all of the wisdom that you offered today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
If this story spoke to you, let's keep the healing going. Visit barbiemoreno.com for my online course, Awakening Your Worth and Healing Energy sessions, one-on-one coaching, and your free healing guide. Your next step is waiting.